straight, crazy hair going on. And I need a haircut. How's it look, guys? How's it look? Welcome to Friday Night Knits. My name is Becky, and this is episode 13. It is Friday, August 5th. Whew. And I've been absent for 3 weeks. Went on vacation. It was awesome, but I really missed podcasting. I attempted to record last week after we got back, but I don't know. Every time I tried, my iPad kept shutting off while I was recording, so I think I had too many pictures and stuff from vacation that I hadn't shifted around and done stuff with yet. So, yeah, I decided, you know what? Let's wait another week. So, I'm back, and let's talk some knitty stuff. Let's talk about what's on my needles. Don't have a whole lot planned for today. Figure I'll just tell y'all about what I'm knitting, talk about an FO, and then talk about some of the yarn shops I hit up while I was on vacation. And that's probably it. So this should be a short episode. And now my nose is all itchy and I want to sneeze. Ooh. I'm also sitting way low because my computer chair broke. So I feel very strange. So excuse me. Like I said, it's episode 13. And yeah, I was going to say something else. Oh, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Becky Rae. That's BECKYRHAE. It's my giant cup of iced coffee. My daughter still works for Starbucks, and she gave me a present while I was there. She watched our dogs for us while we were on vacation, because we drove to Dallas and flew from there, and she sent me home with this. So Starbucks is selling their cold brew now. So it comes in a package with 2 bags. You put it in water and brew it in your refrigerator for 24 hours, and then add more water. Take the bags out, add more water, and it is fantastic. In fact, I need to text her and tell her how much we enjoyed this. We blew through our first batch pretty quick. So, it's not that full cup. I promise I only filled it about halfway. But that's my nifty cup from the Suicide Squad. We went and saw the new Star Trek the other day, and it was really good. So that was a bunch of random stuff y'all really probably didn't care about. But yeah, Becky Rae on Instagram and Ravelry, and Becky and Homer on Periscope. Still haven't Periscoped yet, but I do enjoy watching them. And yeah, so let's get into what I'm knitting. Let's start with works in progress. I have shown y'all my monkey socks, Cookie A monkey socks, but I actually did rip them out and start over because they were pretty tight, and I was using I thought I had grabbed my 2.5, but lo and behold, I had grabbed my 2.25, and they were just way too tight. So here we go. I restarted them. I want to say just a couple of days ago. 2 repeats in. Worked on them at the ballpark last night, and I went ahead and decided I was going to do not just go up to the 2.5 needle, but go ahead and try 72 stitches. I would have tried 64, but the repeat on this is definitely a even number of stitches, and just adding 4 stitches would have only added 1 to each repeat, because it's 4 repeats on here. So it might be a tiny bit big, but I can deal with a tiny bit big. And I added the extra stitches on the beginning and the end of the repeat, and I also added a row of the repeat in the pattern to tie up that extra stitch. If I would have left it alone, the stockinette right up here would have never met. It would have ended looking like that. So I went ahead and did another knit two together and slip slip knit to close that up to where you have that straight knit all the way across a couple of rows. So yeah, I'm digging it. I still love this color. Again, it's Milky Robot Yarns by Jess Roller. This is the Pom Pom colorway, which was one of her club colorways last year. And Jess is back to dyeing yarns, so that's awesome. And yeah, so blowing going on these. My other project on the needles, I started my Madewell sweater, guys. I told you I was pretty excited about doing this when I got back from vacation. So here's my goldfish all wound up. This is Goldfish colorway by the Lemonade Shop in her Mighty Sock. And look how pretty these two look together. So I think this is what I'm gonna use for patches on the elbows. I think I need like 2 other colors, so I'm gonna do this, and probably find a dark black, dark brown, a black, a gray, something. I do have some nice grays here lately, so pretty stoked. Anyway, I actually swatched for my Madewell. Yay, Becky. I did pull it out to use, so I can't show y'all my swatch, but I did post it up on my Instagram. And look how far. Not very far. Just started the yoke, and it's going along really well. I don't know. My increases seem to leave a hole, which I thought I was doing the increase that doesn't leave a hole. But who knows? I may decide I love it that way. Or it may block to where there's not really a hole there. I don't know. But I'm pretty excited to be knitting my first sweater for me. This is only something I've wanted to do forever and just never kicked myself into gear and done it. So here we go. I am using size 4 needles. I will be using my Hiya Hiya interchangeables, or that was my plan, but I could not find a cable that wasn't this long or 50 feet long, it seemed like, so I found some Addies lying around. So it's on Addies, and I'm sure that'll be fine. And I'm gonna hopefully get it finished for Sue Stokes, who is Knit 24. She's half of Legacy Knits. She's having a fingering weight sweater along in her Periscope group. And I've really enjoyed catching her Periscopes again on a fairly regular basis. I even caught her while I was on vacation in Boston. So I was up in her neck of the woods watching her podcast. It was kind of cool. And that's pretty much all I have works in progress. As far as finished objects, I did finish the little aspen dress for my friend's daughter. And I finished it right after we got back from vacation. I only did knitting on the plane. Didn't take it on the train with me at all to knit on the commuter. And so I didn't get as much done as I wanted to on vacation. But it's flippin' adorable. Again, it was made with the Baby Bee yarn Sweet Delight from Hobby Lobby, which is a nice workhorse yarn. Her mom, when I took it over to her and she opened it, and little Sloane's eyes just lit up when she saw it. I think she thought it was a blanket because, well, it looked like a blanket. It was knit, it was soft, and she was rubbing it on her face, and she was starting to chew on it, and Nikki was like, no, don't do that. And I was like, no, she can chew on it. It's totally made for her to wear, and, you know, it can handle it. So she decided that it was so cute she was going to wear it at a wedding this weekend. So once I get an okay from Nikki and they send me some really cute pictures, I will post them on my Instagram so y'all can see it finished. Because it really was flippin' adorable on her. I want to make like 30 more of those dresses for friends' babies. And that is like all the knitting I have to tell y'all about. So it's going to be a short episode. I told y'all that. I don't even really have anything Blythe to talk about. I tried to be good. While I was in Boston, BlytheCon was happening in San Francisco. And I really was a tiny bit sad that I was missing it. But my husband and I had such a good time on our vacation that made it a little easier. And I bought Homer a couple of souvenirs while we were on the trip. She did go with us. I took her picture with a lot of people, so we had fun. She saw the House of Seven Gables in Salem. She went on a boat ride in Boston Harbor. So I didn't take her to Fenway, but Fenway was cool. So not a lot to talk about at Blythe, except you can see her. She's sitting on one of her souvenirs. We were in a shop. Oh, let me not kill her. That's why she's wearing a crown, because she's sitting in her throne. We were in a comic book shop, and they had an iron throne. Now, I looked at my husband and I was like, ooh, do you think they'll take it out of the case so we can take a picture of Homer sitting in it? And then we asked him how much it was, and it was like $25, and I was like, sold. So we bought Homer a throne. She also got a really cool hat while we were in Salem. It's you know, it's supposed to be for people. It's a little, you know, hey, that's pretty cute. It's the first time I've worn it. So when we spotted it in the shop, my husband picked it up off. God, I need haircut. So my husband picked it up off the shelf, and he showed it to me, and I was like, oh, that's perfect for Homer. And the sales lady was like, yes, who's Homer? And then I promptly pulled Homer out of the backpack and put it on her, and the woman got so tickled that I was buying a hat for my doll. So yes, the veil is a little long, but how awesome is that hat? I gotta do it. I bought a lot of headbands and hats like this for Halloween last year, so all about the hats for her. So yeah, so she has an iron throne. Now she needs like really cool gowns inspired by Game of Thrones to wear while she's sitting in her throne. Let's put her crown back on her, because she's boom. Okay, so that's Homer's. That's the Blythe talk y'all are gonna get. So let's talk about what I did on vacation. First, I'm going to show you my shopping scores. While I really only had one yarn shop on my radar, which was Circle of Stitches, and that was in Salem. And it's really funny because I found it on Ravelry and was completely and totally sold on the name alone. And then I was talking to a Blythe friend, and she told me that she was friends with the owner, and I had to go there. So that was the only yarn shop I really, really wanted to visit, because when we were in Boston, my husband and I knew that he wanted to do the Freedom Trail. And we didn't rent a car, so we were walking everywhere. So I did not want to try to find yarn shops and possibly pull him away from what he really wanted to do in Boston. So Boston, I really didn't plan on shopping in Boston. But before we even got on a plane, and we drove to Dallas. I think I said this. My daughter lives in Dallas. I live in Midland, which is about 5.5 hours west of Dallas. And plane tickets from Midland to Boston were around $1,200 each. And from Dallas to Boston were about $600 each. So needless to say, we made the drive. And we took the dogs with us, the two big dogs, the Aussie and the Blue Heeler. And my daughter watched our dogs for us while we went out of town. And that was amazing of her to do. Especially because we found out my Aussie has a little bit of separation anxiety. He was a little shit while I was out of town. But once they just kept him and the Heeler in the same kennel, he was much better. But he howled all night the first night. He chewed stuff up. He completely broke out of his kennel one day. So yeah, fun times. But I wanted to get to Dallas early enough to go find extra needles. Go to Holly's Yarn Shop in Dallas, which my daughter and I had gone to before. Really sweet little shop. And I knew they carried Chiagu and Haya Haya. So I wanted to get more 9-inch needles just in case mine got taken away while we were, you know, whatever reason the TSA decides they like or don't like. So we went to Holly's before we even got on a plane, and the first thing I spotted when we were walking up was she had sock blockers. So I finally have sock blockers, guys. Y'all seen these socks, not R2 socks, but look how cool they look on sock blockers. I'm stupid excited about this. Also, when I was looking at them, I was like, wow, that large looks really large. Maybe my feet aren't that big. Maybe I should get the medium. So I picked up the medium one and put it next to my foot and went, nope. So, ta-da! Dun, 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 dun. Now, when I knit up socks like my Cookie monkey socks, I can show y'all. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, stupid excited about that. And in my excitement to find all of this, grabbed some needles and went. And I grabbed 12-inch, not 9-inch. Whoops. So, I have 12-inch in 1.5 and ones. Hey, you can never have too many needles, right? I guess these will be Blythe hat knitting needles or something. Not sure what I'm going to do with 12-inch needles that small. They will be great for sleeves, though, if they were size 4 or something. But, you know, oh well. So, let's talk about what I bought in Salem. We went to Circle of Stitches, which is owned by a darling woman named Anna, or Anna. Anna. I didn't ask for specification, but I really just wanted to grab something, buy something there that I had never bought, that I couldn't easily access in Texas. And so let me show you all what I got. First of all, I got a really cute shirt from her shop because she had t-shirts. And Circle of Stitches, Salem, Massachusetts. How cute is that? Isn't that a great logo? And I bought a couple of buttons, actually. One of them I put on the little Aspen jumper dress. It was a little bitty hedgehog. So cute. But, okay, let's talk yarns. There's her card, Circle of Stitches. She has a website, circleofstitches.com. Okay, so I got Anzula yarns, y'all. And this is the Haiku, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% bamboo, and 10% nylon. This color is called Temperance. It's kind of a greeny yellow. And this color is Mariana. So it's very much a grayish blue, tealy tones. Nice. But here's my luck. The owner of Anzula was there on Wednesday night. I was there on Thursday. She had a trunk show, and I missed it by a few hours. And I was a little bit sad, but, you know, I really was excited about Anzula because of a lot of the things she has done here lately, supporting the test knitters of Random Act of Color for Debbie Reese and Amy. And then I bought Madeline Tosh, which is made in Texas. But I bought this Mad Tosh because this is the Cathedral colorway. Cathedral colorway. Excuse me, I'm a 14-year-old boy. My voice just dropped. That was horrible. So, Madeline Tosh. I bought this. It's Cathedral colorway, and I had to have it. I was just stunned with how pretty it was. So, I'd only seen Cathedral in like projects and stuff. Had never seen it in person. So, I grabbed it. What can you say? What can you say? Anna had a couple of really cool things in her shop. She had a bunch of little like kits for embroidery and some weaving things, really neat things. And I guess I put blinders on when I'm looking for yarn. I just look at yarn. And I'm a knitter, I'm not a spinner. So my husband was standing in the back, and we had landed in Boston probably an hour before we were at the shop. And he had posted a picture on Facebook of us landing in Boston, and all, you know, some of his friends were liking it, and a whole bunch of my friends were liking it. He made a statement that if he goes, wow, I tagged you in it, and I'm getting all these likes. And I said, well, tell everybody, I said, you need to make a post that you've taken me yarn shopping at the Circle of, at the Circle of Stitches, and you'll get a whole bunch of likes. So he did, and it was really funny. But he also looked up, and on the top of the cases, the yarn cases, Anna had some small spinning wheels. And they're the Merlin Tree spinning wheels. And they're pretty small. And because the one that I guess she carried was the Road Bug and the Hitchhiker. And the Road Bug actually meets TSA specifications to fit in the luggage compartments, overhead luggage compartments in airlines. So he points to them and he says, what are those? And she may have told him they were spinning wheels, but she made it a very big selling point that they fit in the overhead bins. And it was just very comical to me because spinning really isn't on my radar, which is driving a couple of my friends crazy. But it was really funny. So he was like, okay. But that was the only yarn shop I hit in Salem. There was supposedly another one, and we did look for it on, I think we just, when we were walking around in the evenings and stuff, we looked around for it, but we never could find it. And then we finally found the address, but there was a law office there. So across the street from that was a stitching store for, you know, embroidery and needlework, but it was after hours and not really my thing, so we didn't go in. But in Boston, we went to Boston with the plans of following the Freedom Trail, which takes you from Boston Common up and down through the streets of Boston to historical locations. The Old South Meeting House, it takes you by Paul Revere's house, by several churches, really cool churches. Takes you to the Old North Church and Bunker Hill, USS Constitution, all of these things. And for that reason, I didn't really look for yarn shops. But as it happens, we were just going on our merry way, doing our thing. And we went to the Old South Meeting House, which is where the founding brothers, the founding sons, the Sons of Liberty, is that what they call them? Anyway, you know, the revolutionaries went and would hang out and discuss, you know, the ridiculousness that is Britain. And we checked it out. It was really cool because it wasn't just revolutionary people. It was all through history of Boston. That place has been a meeting place for change. So we, you know, really enjoyed just walking through, checking out the little bitty models of the town and neat stuff, and reading all the history and looking at they had really neat, my phone is doing something weird. They had really neat statues that looked more like they took a person and just dipped them in plaster of Paris or something. So it was really cool seeing all of that stuff. And as we were leaving, we went down into the gift department, which was below the street level. And it was a couple of rooms. And then my husband was walking back up to street level, and I'm following him. I just glanced to my right, and there was a yarn shop attached to it. And I just stopped in my tracks and was like, "Yarn shop!" and took off in. So he followed me in, and I'm checking around, and the little place was called Newbury Yarns. They had another exit outside, but I totally would have missed it. And I swear, I told my husband I smelled the yarn fumes. That's why it went in there, why it caught my attention. So I will show you what I got there. Asked if they had any special yarn from local spinners, dyers, that kind of thing. And she said they carried a line called Dips that is some dyers from Massachusetts, and they dye strictly for Newbury yarns, or these particular ones that she had were just for Newbury. And giant wall behind her of cashmere, and I'm just not a cashmere person, and I'm sure it's not, I don't think I would have an allergy to it, but I don't want to risk it. I can't even look at Angora. Just, it causes my cuticles to swell on my hands get super itchy. I usually am completely congested. I accidentally, before I realized I was allergic to it, I was messing with someone, and it was a complete disaster. And after that, I accidentally knit with some yarn with a little bit of Angora in it, and the same thing happened. Sometimes I get reactions from alpaca, and it's usually I don't want to say over processed alpaca, but if the lanolin and the natural oils and stuff are in the fiber, I don't seem to have as bad of a reaction, which completely befuddles my brain. And one of the worst reactions I've had was a alpaca blend, as far as alpaca goes. But I haven't had that reaction in a long time. And I used to knit with a whole lot of alpaca. I would just take Benadryl and knit. And maybe it's because now I do a daily allergy pill, I'm not sure. So, but she was it was really funny. She was kind of floored that I wasn't interested in the cashmere. So, but what I ended up getting are these two beautiful skeins. I don't know, the pink one looks a little ragged, but it's 100% baby llama. And it's so soft. And look at that gray. Man, that's gorgeous. That pink is just like bam. And I walked past these and I felt them and was like, ooh. And the woman helping me was the perfect salesman, because she must have seen my face when I touched it, because she immediately moved me over to a shawl she had knit with it, and it was so lovely and so airy and so soft that I was like, yep, gonna have to get some of that. So this is what I bought at Newbury Yarns, and it was just a chance encounter on the streets of Boston. So that is all I have for you knitting wise. I did want to hit on a couple of the really cool things on my trip. So if you're not interested in hearing about highlights in Salem and Boston, then you can leave now and I won't get my feelings hurt. So a couple of things. Airport on the flight up there, we had a layover in Baltimore, and I was sitting by the windows, had my one of these little Susan Boy counters on my thumb, because I wear it on my thumb, which you would think is kind of awkward, but I just tap it with and the reason I don't do it on my finger is because I wrap my yarn twice around my index finger, and it drags too much with the counter on there. So anyway, I had one of these on. Susan Bates, not Susan Boyle. Anyway, I had it on, and these two elderly women sit down next to me, and one of them is a knitter, so we start talking knitting, and she was just oohing and awing over my knitting, which was just simple stockinette in the round. But if you ever want to feel good, having somebody sit there and tell you what a beautiful knitter you are when you're doing something that simple really is just a self-esteem boost. She was adorable, but what she found the most fascinating was my row counter. She was like, I've never seen one of those. I just have the little clicky one on my knitting needles, and it's annoying. And so I ended up giving her that one, and she really kind of argued with me for a little bit about it. And I was like, no, really, take it. And she's like, I can go find one. I said, no, I got plenty. Because I do like to buy them when I have a good coupon for Michael's or something, and Joann's if I do. I like to buy a few, and so they're great presents for people. And yeah, she was adorable, and she made me feel good, so I was going to give her a row counter. Yeah, that was hilarious. Salem was super cool. I think I mentioned that my husband's playing Pokemon Go. So he was catching a bunch of the spooky Pokemon, the ghost Pokemons and stuff in Salem. And in the evenings, winding down, we walked everywhere. We didn't have a car, so we did a whole lot of walking. And we would go back to the room, and a couple of nights he went back out to just sit in one of the Salem Common, and catch Pokemon. There were a bunch of kids doing it too. A couple of the really cool restaurants on the Common had, wasn't really Salem's Common. It was down by the Peabody Essex Museum on Essex Street. They have a Bewitched statue, and it was in that area, which the Common, I believe, was across the street from where we were staying. But anyway, he would go there because two of the restaurants there had lures, and so he was catching Pokemon and stuff. I went with him one night. I sat and knit while he did that, which was hilarious. Salem was awesome. Really, it's funny because we had planned to just spend Thursday and Monday in Salem, and we were actually going to get on the train and go down to Providence, Rhode Island, and do a cliff tour. But our innkeep was telling us of all the cool things to do in Salem, and we realized that there was no way we were going to be able to do them in the time frame of what was left of Thursday and what would be left of Monday before we flew out. So we ditched the Rhode Island idea, and we really didn't know how we were going to get from the train station to the cliffs and back. So we hung out in Salem, and I will admit I went into Salem all about the witches. But there was so much more to Salem. We enjoyed the history of Salem so very much. We're history buffs. I know the history of the states. I know, all of this, but actually being there where this stuff happened was really, really cool. And yeah, the witch stuff was cool. We finally hit that on Monday, but on Friday we went to the House of Seven Gables. We went to the Derby House, which, and the owner of the Derby House was Salem's probably first millionaire. He made his money with ships. He also provided the revolution with ships. And that was all after the Salem witches. And the only reason Salem did not grow bigger was because its harbor was too shallow. So all the money that Salem was making for the longest time had to filter down to Boston, New York, and Philadelphia, because their harbors were deeper and could handle the bigger ships. And it was amazing. The houses were beautiful. The Historical Society in Salem and the park rangers were fantastic. Really, really enjoyed them. They really loved the way they did things. When we went to the House of Seven Gables, it has been a woman who bought it basically after Hawthorne's book came out, put the house back together the way it is in the book. And Nathaniel Hawthorne's cousin lived there with her husband. And so he probably stayed there a few times. But when he was there, it didn't look anything like it does today. So he was probably heard stories about it. And so this woman that bought it changed it up. They put in secret stairwells and things. Really cool. Fun stuff. I'm probably getting all my facts wrong, but it was really, really neat. We super enjoyed that one. We also went to the Derby House, and it was refurbished, so put back the way they figured it should look at the time frame. But even it was a little off. And then we went to another house that was called the Narbonne House. And when it was acquired by the Historical Society, it was acquired in the 60s. And they left it the way they bought it. So that was even cooler to me to see just how they just basically put it in, froze it in time to when they bought it. Was really neat. All of the houses there seem to have little models of them because they'd all been changed. Like, pieces have been taken off, different pieces had added. So they had these models that they could take off and show you what it looked like in different times, and it was just neat. Neat. I guess growing up in Texas and knowing the history of Texas, it all starts around the 1800s. So seeing like grave markers from the 1600s and seeing houses that were built at that time, really just, I was like, wow, that is just so cool. Totally enjoyed the cemeteries. I told my husband that I require a grave marker like they have there. So yeah, I doubt that's going to happen, but Boston was neat. The Freedom Trail was brutal because it was stupid hot when we were there, and I was so looking forward to cooler weather, but apparently we brought a heat wave with us and it just about killed us. But the first day we did most of the Freedom Trail on Saturday, and then we rode on a boat. We got on my husband found this company, the Liberty Fleet of Tall Ships. And they are ships that are no longer needed for anything other than tourist industry. So see it, it's got 5 sails in this picture, but there could be up to 7 sails on these ships. How cool is that? So they unfurled 3 of the sails, the 3 big sails, while we were on it. This is us beforehand. I'll show you. Because I bought the souvenir picture of us. That's me and Bill hanging out. That hat saved my life. But we crisscrossed the Boston Harbor for about 2 hours, just zigzagging across the harbor. Our captain was a young man named Dylan, and he was awesome and funny, and he caught me taking a picture with Homer, holding Homer, and clicking a picture, and he giggled a little, but he was really cool. It wasn't really like a guided tour. They didn't really point stuff out unless you asked questions. It was just enjoying a sailboat, and it was really awesome. He informed us that they like rent their lower cabins as like a hostel in the summertime, so you can sleep for like $50 in the Boston Harbor if they have room, which is amazing. Wish I'd have known that. I'd totally done that. And in the winter they're down in the Bahamas, and you can go live on the boat for like a week, and they sail all around the Bahamas. So that's, I'm not a tropical island girl, but I could be a tropical island girl if a tall sail ship is involved. So yeah, that was really, really neat. And Sunday we went to Fenway, and I was tired, and it was a long it was hot, and I was a little bit grumpy, but Fenway was cool, and we stayed through Sweet Caroline, and then we left. We survived the subways. I had never been on a subway. We don't have subways in Texas. So it was cool. It was a magnificent trip, and I'm so glad we did it. And the last day was really awesome. My friend Shauna drove in to Salem, and we had lunch with her and her parents and her kids and her niece and nephew, and it was awesome, and I was so glad to see her. So yeah, now we need to pick another cool place to go in a year or two, and yeah. So I think that's all I got, guys. Thanks for sticking around. If you are a first-time viewer, thanks so much for checking me out. If you are a returning viewer, I really, 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 really love it. I'm so glad I have you guys here. And y'all have a good week. I'll be back next week. Yes, I won't skip any more weeks. And hopefully have more of my Madewell sweater done for y'all. So have a good night, guys.